everybody to the It Works For Me podcast. This is the second episode that I'm recording. I'm not sure exactly how they're going to get released, so you might be hearing this second, third, fourth, or fifth, but this is a podcast that I came up with just thinking about. I was wanting to write a book. I'm not a writer, so I thought I've done a podcast before, so why not just kind of take these ideas that I've had and talk to some friends, talk to some people that I know, and get their feedback on some of the things I think about when it comes to being positive, staying in a good mindset, and just working through those things as a man. I think this podcast can speak to a bunch of different people, whether it's men, women, younger people, older people. I think that there are going to be things that are going to resonate with you regardless of your demographic. So just to get started,
do we need to wait for your friends to show up?
That's Jason Priest. Thank you for joining in. But yes, I was hoping that you guys were part of my friend group in this podcast situation. But if you aren't,
for the benefit of the podcast,
I know it's your house, but I'll just go ahead and go into your room or something, hang out for a little bit. But no, go ahead.
What are we doing?
What were you going to say something?
Oh, no. I was just a little friendly banter.
All right. So Jason actually makes a great point. So the point of this podcast is joking with your friends, why it's important to continue to do, making fun of each other, not getting offended when people make fun of you, and being able to give it back. So Jason did a good job of starting that. So I've got Jason with me. I've got Patrick Vandiver, John Marchbanks, and Jason Priest. Known all of you guys, I think, more than 10 years, right? I think that's a easy thing to say. I met Jason and all of you guys through BioLife, a job that we all used to work at. I don't think anybody obviously works there anymore, so that's a good thing, because I didn't think I should bring up jobs, but now that I think about it, we're not all there. So anyway, so I met all three of them there. Jason was the first person that trained me at BioLife Plasma Services, and that was a fantastic experience. I got to learn a lot, and Jason saw me at some of my lowest moments in my
falling asleep next to me at the screening station.
That's been talked about before. And then we've got John Marchbanks as well, who him and Patrick, I think you kind of came in a little bit later than Jason with my work career, but I think I met you guys a little bit before that as well. So thanks for joining me. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
And
no cat.
you have the current lingo, right?
I'm just reading what John's with no pad over here.
All right. If you're ready,
you're not a writer. I wrote down no cap.
All right. So any other notes you got over there besides no cap?
That's all that's needed.
Keep them going.
And then we got Patrick as well. And Patrick's been described as some of my friends as the nicest person they know. What do you think about that? Do you actively think about it, or is it just your natural inclination?
I think it's just natural. I've been called a human golden retriever before, and I didn't know if that was a compliment or not. Another weird compliment I've gotten in the past was, you're so nice, and you play the ignorant card so well. I thought, oh, God.
Is that somebody calling you dumb?
I have no idea what that means, but apparently it was meant as a compliment. So
yeah, I like that.
No, I agree. Out of all four of us, if I'm having a rough time, I can depend on Patrick to be there for support. John would probably just make me feel worse, and then it's fine.
I'm trying to be a better friend. It's something that I think I've talked to you guys about. I've talked to other friends. I was always the person that would try to just like steer the conversation away from anything if things were getting too serious. I'd try to like talk about something else because I was not very comfortable with that.
That's a tricky situation. Like it's a delicate balance. I get in trouble with it, with Sarah, with friends. I mean, when shit gets serious, I'm like, I am uncomfortable. There's tension, so let's start joking around, and it's got me in trouble. So it's a delicate balance. I mean, there's time and place for jokes, and it's hard to see that, because I just want to make everyone, be in a good mood,
feel comfortable,
have a good time, and so it can be tricky sometimes for sure.
And that's like kind of the first part that I wanted to get into was joking with each other, making fun of each other with certain things. There's a lot of times you hear people say with jokes, there's a little bit of truth behind them. How do you feel that goes? Because I know we've talked about like
touching each other's dicks several times. I'm not sure
there's not only truth to that. There's no truth in that except for that one time, Jason, at BioLife. But
that was more than once. But okay.
No, what I'm getting at is I had friends before this group of friends that I grew up with in high school, and then I had gotten shot and went through like a knee surgery, and like I got fat, like I gained quite a bit of weight, and my friends made fun of me for being fat because I was never fat. And even though it hurt and it sucked and I knew they were just kind of messing with me, it still made me kind of like try to take action on it. What do you guys think? Like, do you think if you're getting made fun of for something,
I'm very old school, and I even brought that up in like job interviews. Like, I'm very kind of hard nosed. So like with Rex, he's kind of overweight, and he told me that it motivates him, but then you have the other side of it to where people get offended and shit. But I'm like, to me, I need to hear that hard truth, because otherwise, if you're just fluffing up someone's ass, then it's not really doing anyone any favors, just trying to make you feel good about yourself.
Yeah.
Like being overweight is kind of a health issue, obviously. For me, making fun of somebody, that's good for me. To me, I don't know. I feel like jump in because I think I'm going to say something.
Patrick's got something he wanted to
add. So, like for me, for a personal motivator, it's super. It's a super driver. So I remember back in like high school, I was like 7 pounds overweight before a wrestling meet, like the night before. And I weighed myself, and my coach was like, he didn't even like look at me, just said he's not going to make it, and turn around and like change the roster.
Oh wow!
Like eliminate my name and like move me up a weight class or whatever. And I thought, oh, that motherfucker, like, so I came in like 4 pounds underweight the next morning. Like all I thought about was just losing weight all night. But going back to, I guess, the nice guy aspect, I think a lot of that's some like social anxiety too. Like I'm very worried about how people are, and not like a personal anxiety, but like I have worry about what the group feels, so I never find myself giving that motivation. I wouldn't say like, Jason, you old ass, you need to get in shape. Yeah, get younger. Yeah, I know.
We do tell them to get younger, though.
But it is a powerful driver. Like I even do it to myself. Like I just finished carnivore month, and like I had one cheat day where I ate olives and pepperoncinis and a steak. And after dinner, I told him, I was like, man, I shouldn't have cheated. It was still low carb, but it was still steak, pepperoncinis, and an olive. And then all week, I didn't touch anything else. And it was like the motivator, like, I shouldn't have touched that. So to your point, this like picking or like inserting that self-doubt is a huge motivator for results. But
there's probably a line.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
I mean, you can just tear somebody down, but you have to be there to give them support at the same time, because otherwise, I don't know. I mean, it depends on what that person's going through. Like, I'll bring up Rex again.
I think you turned yours off. Okay, good. Oh, that was on purpose. Good, gotcha.
Okay. Yeah. Again, it's like I can sit here and say, yeah, act like an asshole to someone and make them try to lose weight, but again, you need to be there supportive as well, because if you're just completely,
you need to also wake up and go to the gym with them.
No, I've tried doing that in the past. Sometimes it works out, but like I said, it's on that other person too. Like you can sit there and just talk shit to them the entire time, but if they don't want to change, or they want to use you making fun of them as an excuse why they don't want it, you know what I mean? It's really the mentality of that other person too. So again, it's a balance. You can't just be a dickhead the entire time. You have to be supportive, but it's all on that other person to want to make that change as well.
For sure.
I would like to say that the dynamic that we all have in, giving each other crap, it doesn't only, provide motivation, but it also keeps me grounded.
Mm-hmm.
So I can, there's just people that I have to be around all the time, and I feel like I can do better than people a lot of times.
Mm-hmm.
I hold myself to a high standard as like a perfectionist in things that I do. And if I just go off of what those people say, like I'm not really reaching my full potential. Where if I like to surround myself with other people that think that they're accomplishing things and they're moving their lives forward. And so when we're, giving each other crap, I can kind of gauge, where I really stand among my peers.
Yeah.
And it kind of depends on who my peers are and who I surround myself with. And I chose you guys, which I don't know what that says about me, but
make me feel real good.
You do keep me grounded.
Yeah, and you guys know that I don't think I have much of a lack of confidence, and that's one of my, like,
you have enough spread out for sure.
That's actually, when you brought that up, John, that was making me think of thinking of a motivator, but also keeping me grounded is you guys call me the dumbest one in the group. That definitely makes me like, it's one of those things that I'm like, there's no way they really think that, but maybe they do. And so then I know that it sounds stupid, but I try to be smarter. I try to read more. I try to do more things because I don't want to be the dumbest one in the group. And what's so funny is over the holidays, we played that smartass game that you guys have played with us before. And I tell everybody that comes over and plays it, I'm like, when Jason and Patrick and the other people have played this here, like, I don't win. And I'm winning against all of you. So that should show you that you're not as smart. Like, I'm the least smart person out of my friends. So the people I'm playing with, like my family and stuff, which they took offense to that, which, whatever. But
call your mom dumb.
But I think going back to it, I think we all receive constructive criticism pretty well. Like, I've been told in the past that I complain a lot, and I think that I probably do. Especially driving, I have a lot of anger when I'm driving, so I know I can't control what others do. But I'm receptive to that. I'm like, I've dealt with people in the past where I said, you're negative, and that person's like, well, that's just the way I am, and that's the way it's going to be. So I think to be able to take that constructive criticism is very beneficial, because I know if I give you shit, you might take some of that to heart and actually make a change.
Right. And so then that kind of leads me into the next kind of segment and idea that I had about this whole conversation. When does it start to bleed into where it feels like it's bullying and it's not and I know bullying's a kind of a touchy subject with, kids in school and things like that, but when does it become bullying, and when do you feel like that? And would you speak up in your friend group if you were feeling like, hey man, that's like getting a little too rough? I don't think we've ever had that happen. So that's where I'm trying to think if we've ever been close on that.
I mean, I think one of us
or anybody else, not even our group. Like, has there been other friends that you've been like hanging out with that you're like, I don't think we need to go that direction.
I think go ahead.
Yeah. For an example, when we're playing video games and one of us is doing terribly,
usually me or
that's kind of doing really bad, and then John and I are ripping on him. And one of us usually steps in and is like, you did all right in this aspect of that game.
Don, you are good at that. I'll get like you dish it out, but then because sometimes like there are a few times I don't even want to jump on if it's just me and you.
Yeah.
I've even told Sarah this. It's like, I'm fucking terrible, and John's gonna let me know how terrible I am. And I was like, and it's not fun. I was like, it's just not fun for me. I was like, I play once a week. I'm not gonna be any good, and I don't want to let him down at the same time. But again, you do give me shit, but then you're like, you're doing okay, or you try to give me, tips and tricks. So I think that's when it's not bullying. It's when it's not all fucking negative shit. It's, you suck, but this is what you can do to, try to get better. So thank you for that.
Yeah, no problem.
But I think it's being friends with somebody. Like, we know what you can take, but if I'm talking to a stranger saying you're a fat piece of shit, you need to do this and that, that's kind of when it turns into the bullying stage. Yeah. But it's just a different generation now. I mean, back in my school, or, back in my day.
Back in my day.
On it was K through 12 in one schoolhouse. Like, back in my day, it was almost like bullying was encouraged. I mean, you weren't cool unless you bullied someone. So if I didn't go home with a bloody asshole, it's like I knew somebody had detention or was getting expelled. But yeah, nowadays it's obviously it's more than frowned upon. People get in trouble for it, but I don't know, man. A small part of me is like, I think we kind of need to bring it back because we're just letting the freaks.
There's a positive aspect to it. Like if so, we're all good friends and we give it to each other, I guess, from time to time. But but it's like we're like on the same team almost, right? Like if I tear you down a little bit, it's to make the group better. Mm-hmm. It's almost like, hey, check your shit, whatever it might be. I don't know what it is. And then the friend group overall gets better. I think it's bullying negatively if I have no investment in you. Like if I don't know you or like you're an acquaintance and then I start ripping you down, then it's like, what's the benefit of that?
I'm not trying end game.
Yeah, I'm not going to be around to see you get better from this. So,
right. Well, and just to kind of add a little bit of spin to it, what made me think about this topic was I was talking with my little brother and sister, and this was actually years ago, so this may be different for them than it was at the time, but they were still in high school at the time, and I asked them, like, so do you guys like make fun of each other? Because I was talking specifically to my little brother because he had just had some friends over, and they were just like kind of talking, but everybody left, and I asked him, I was like, do you guys make fun of each other? Do you guys give each other shit? And he's like, not really. He's like, I don't think of times where we like make fun of each other or joke. And then my little sister kind of chimed in. She said, bullying is a big thing, and everybody's like doesn't want to be the person that's bullying somebody because it's almost like what you said. It was cool, like you had to bully people to be like thought of as cool. Now you're not cool if you're bullying people.
Well, not bad. Like, I'm afraid to even joke around at work because you just don't know.
You don't know how people are going to respond.
When I worked at my previous employer, I could pretty much say because people knew that I was joking.
But also, Jason, you have to accept the fact that you have a unique ability to be able to get away with that.
Yeah.
Even like that was not a normal thing that you did. It was because if I would have said some of the things to people, it would have been like immediately like getting called into to talk to HR. I'm saying that's a positive for you, that you have the ability to.
I don't want to spend any time discussing it because I think we're going to get off topic, but I'm curious to talk about that and feel like why could I get away with that?
That's what I'm saying. I think it's just a unique skill of being able to get across your message, still mess with somebody or make fun of them, and them not take it personally.
Right.
And I can't explain why it is okay. I just know that I've witnessed it.
Yeah.
And I've also thought to say the same thing or tried to say something like in the similar vein and gotten like a look like, who are you talking to? Like, why are you talking to me like that?
I still remember I want to preface this. I still use you as the example for a preferential treatment. That doesn't necessarily mean that you're treating one person negatively.
Are you looking at John or?
No, you.
Oh.
So I use you as a preferential treatment example because you treat everyone so negatively. And then if you treat one person positively, that is also preferential treatment. But I still remember you coming back, and this is back when we worked together, you came back and made me sign an NCE or an NE or whatever they were called. I don't know, something I messed up. And you're like, I got something for you, idiot. We talked about it. You made me sign it, and you're like, you gonna do that again? And I was like, no, probably not. And you're like, well, there you go. And you walked away, and I was like,
I even had a nurse. Yeah. One of my nurses emailed me. I emailed them. They made a mistake at work, and they said, hey, I fixed that. And then she signed off saying, your favorite retard, Jennifer.
So it's like, I think the sentiment is, you can call me a name, but you're doing it in a vein to make me better.
Right. I know there were some people there I didn't joke around with because I knew, a line would be crossed even with something very mild. But yeah, typically, I don't know how I got away with it, but typically I could. But again, you just have to know the crowd, you know what I mean? But yeah, I enjoyed it, and I'm starting to get that at my new employer, thank God. But yeah, I'm sorry, I'm buzzed.
I think the reason why you were able to get away with it at BioLife is because you have a little bit of a goofy demeanor, and you're able to take the same when other people give it to you without getting offended. And that's why they felt comfortable when you say those types of things to them. I know that I had the opposite problem at BioLife. I couldn't really joke with anybody because it was the way that I tried to carry myself and prove myself that I was smart and, trying to move ahead and like memorize the standard operating procedures and all of that. So I was like correcting my superiors whenever they got things wrong. And it ultimately made them not really like me. I didn't really build relationships with them very closely because I was trying to prove myself every time I was in an interaction with somebody that was above me to show that I'm good enough or better than the position that
nobody likes to know it all, but you did take that job very seriously.
But also you probably learned from that too. Like
I've definitely learned from that. I've gained a lot of better professional skills and being able to talk with people and joke around and figure out where that line is with people before I approach it.
Yeah.
And I get that from my experiences at BioLife and taking the wrong step most of the time.
And being more strategic with the way, because you don't want to ignore something that's obviously a problem, but at the same time tactfully approaching it as opposed to. And what I was going to say, I guess it might just be the fact that we were friends kind of outside of work. I always felt like you had a good ability of being yourself at work, which I know that you were being yourself because you were trying to be very good at your job. Yeah. So I had, like what I always talk about with my career was I learned quite a bit with BioLife, but it wasn't until after BioLife that I kind of learned that I had like outside of work me and I had work me, and I tried to make sure that outside of work me never really crossed paths with work me unless it was people I was close with. And I think that was that negatively affected me, because there was a donor that told me like years after that they said that I always looked unhappy and that I looked like I was like always angry. And I was like, I don't remember feeling like I looked like I was angry all the time at work. And
I think that was all of our faces.
Definitely in Greenwood.
And so I've like over the last few years, that's something that I've really attempted to tackle from a career aspect, is being my true self at work to a degree. Obviously, I'm not going to go in and tell them that we should all take the day off and go get drinks or something. Like, I'm not going to do that, even though I think that would be fun and I would like it if my boss told me that. Yeah. But I think that's definitely a big thing that I saw with you, John, and then with Patrick, the unique abilities that you guys all have. Patrick's another person, which comes back to you being kind of a lovable person. I feel like every leader that I've ever worked with, or every person that's ever kind of interacted with you, always has that positive feeling coming from you. So like that's a huge positive for you going forward. And, in the eyes of upper leadership, like you advancing. So do you think that that's something that's benefited you? Because we've already kind of touched on it, but do you think it's benefited you from a career aspect as well?
I mean, yeah.
Great.
The reason I'm getting at that is I've worked with some people that are not necessarily the best at their job, but they're one of the most liked people.
Oh, I see where you're going with that.
I'm not saying that here. I'm just saying I know people that have advanced based on the fact that they're charismatic and people like them, not necessarily because of the things that they've done. So
I think that I don't like to toot my own horn. So I'm gonna think about
go ahead and toot
this. So like I think that I do a good job about like performing well, but doing it in a way that it's not like gloating,
right?
So and then that speaks well in interviews. So I always say, like, if I get a chance at an interview, I'm pretty confident that I'm going to walk my way into a role. I've never interviewed for a job that I haven't received an offer for.
I have a lot.
Say rub it. Last summer was rough.
Yeah.
Well, about that, you're not gloating?
Well,
I told him to go ahead and toot his own horn. So
I don't know. It's hard for me to explain because I don't know if you guys have observed it, I guess. I don't know what I do to be likable. Right. I just don't cause friction. I try to find the easiest path through a lot of conflict, whether that's like just stepping away or just put my head down and doing my job. And then when it comes time to speak about doing my job, I feel like I can say I didn't make any waves and I did a good job. And then that translates to promotion opportunities.
What I also think is good is I think you're very measured and thoughtful about the way you talk to like people that report to you as well. So I think that's a very important thing that probably gets talked about.
Yeah, you're very even keeled throughout the entire time. I remember when we were playing video games, Rex hopped on. We were supposed to go to his house for New Year's Eve, and he said that his son was sick, and I kind of got pissed off, and he's like, we still might be able to make plans. You guys still might be able to come over. And it was the next day, I think. I'm like, well, what am I supposed to do with that information? Like, I kind of got shitty with them, and after Rex signed off, Patrick's like, well, that wasn't very diplomatic. And I'm like, well, what the fuck was I supposed to do with that information? But he's very even keeled. I don't think I've ever seen you too stressed out, too calm. It's like there's really no waves.
I've seen Patrick pretty straight.
Yeah, I can get pissed off. But I still remember I was in the locker room during my break, and I was just like texting on my phone. I like laughed at something, and Marie, my wife in Muncie, was like, Patrick, and she, like, we were getting killed we were like short staffed or whatever, and I was on like my 10-minute break, and my 10-minute break is like, you guys know like how sample prep works. No one was covering it, so they said like, step away from your already busy job and just go sit back. So go get back, but then let's come back and just be fucking drowning. Yeah, exactly. So I was back there laughing, and she came back to tell me like, hey, it's time to come back, and I was laughing at something, and she goes, I've never seen you mad. I'm like, what's there to be mad about? Like, like, I don't know.
I try to get to that, but I still like, especially. I think, are we getting off topic? Do we need?
No,
we need on back in.
No, I've got the next thing, but this is good, so keep going.
Yeah, it's hard to. I don't think I have anger issues by any means, but I keep going back to driving because that's where I have most of my anger. It's hard to not react to dumb people out there, and I
do have
probably it's an entitlement thing maybe that I'm dealing with. But I just think there are a lot of dumb people out there, especially driving, and it's hard. I just want to be like, I'm going to sit in the right lane, going to cruise to work, let's do a podcast, be chill. But all it takes is somebody cutting me off or riding my ass, and then I'm just I can just start feeling it build up, and it would be nice to just be like, meh. Just shake it off. But that's something that I'm struggling with right now.
I say this all the time at work, that frustrations only arise from unknown or unmet expectations. Mm-hmm. And I get this in road rage all the time. I think I have to like stop and think like, I didn't expect them to change lanes right then. Right. But now I'm frustrated because I can't give them my expectations of, oh, idiot, don't change lanes right then. Yeah, I can't talk to them. So
and I know shit's going to, I'm trying to get in that mindset. I guess I'll tell you guys, I have been going to therapy for the past couple of weeks. I'm trying to get in that mindset. Like, life is not going to be rainbows and fucking sunshine all the time. Like, I have to expect problems, and I have to be ready to meet that challenge and be excited for those challenges, I guess. So, like I said, it's something I'm working through, and I'm actually excited too, because there's a lot of anger that I'm dealing with. So it'll be nice to kind of overcome that hurdle.
I'm glad that you brought that up, because that's one of the things that I think is a positive for me, and also why I kind of decided to do this podcast. And I was going through thoughts of, I've been told I'm a pretty positive person, I'm an optimistic person, and I was like, well, what do I do that makes me feel that way, or why would I portray that? And so I started writing a list, and this is, this friend group, making fun of your friends, that was one of the things on the list. But one of the things that I've talked about with my wife and other people is I'm a very consistent person. Like when you meet me out somewhere, I'm going to have kind of a very consistent attitude every time. Same at work. I'm the same person every time I go in, despite what's going on outside of work. And another thing, when it comes to anger, I don't get angry very often, but the things that do anger me are mostly at home. It's mainly just like stupid stuff with, arguing with your wife, or your kids doing something that you don't want them to do, something like that. But a lot of the times I just kind of like accept it and then just move forward. And Jen always tells me that like it's a good thing for our marriage, because I don't like blow up and like yell. I will say some mean stuff sometimes, but it's usually in a very calm voice. And she says that it kind of balances us out when we are arguing and she's getting like really fired up, and I'm just kind of like,
yeah, I've never in my past relationships. I'm not a yeller. I don't throw shit. I don't even say mean things. I just kind of shut down. Like, I'm just going to bury it.
And I don't know if that's the most healthy way to do it either.
It's not. No,
but it seems to have worked pretty decently for me so far. But the next thing that I wanted to get into is having a friend group like ours. What you all right over there? What do you think the importance is of having a friend group like ours and us continuing to stay in touch with each other? It used to be when I would talk to people and somebody would be like, what do you do for fun? That kind of thing. And a lot of the times I bring up that we play video games together, and it used to be something that kind of got made fun of. It doesn't really almost at all anymore, because I think people kind of understand what it is, because I always used to explain it and kind of change people's minds from making fun of it. Because I would say, we all live in different areas. We're not very close to each other physically, so like when we can get on and play video games together, it's like we're hanging out. Like it's like we're hanging out at a bar having some drinks, but we're doing it from the comfort of our own homes, playing a video game that probably pisses us off and I'm not very good at. But it
offers a true escape,
right?
I mean, I always hope every Friday that we're able to get on and play together, because like you said, it's still hard. Like, you guys don't have kids.
One night rule.
It's right. You're married, you guys have kids. It's hard to make plans and get together, and it seems like to make plans you have to do things 2-3 months in advance. So Friday night, especially during the wintertime, is something I look forward to, because even if we're not together, it is an escape for me.
Yeah, so I want to get your guys' like perspective on giving maybe advice to other people out there. How often do you think people should get together if they don't have a friend group like this? My thinking is, I think you should be able to at least get together with your friends. Like with us, it's a little different because we do have the video game connection that we can kind of get together and play games, so it's a lot more consistent. But I think at least once a month you should be able to go out with your friends. It's not necessarily like a family outing plus your friends. It's really just you and your friends one-on-one time. What are your guys' thoughts on that?
Yeah, once a month it doesn't seem like a lot, but
it's hard to do.
It's very hard to do, and I mean the weekends. I mean they go by so quickly. I always sit back and like some people that I used to work with. We've been trying to go out with them for like 6 or 7 weeks now, and it's like, oh, I was like, we'll get together in February, and then all of a sudden, it's February 24th. It's like, well, shit, time flies. So I think once a month is a good goal to set. Again, it doesn't sound like that much, but it adds up over time. It really does.
In order to like keep something like that successful within your friend group, you have to be flexible and be able to adapt and not get your feelings hurt when somebody can't show up. Mm-hmm. Being able to understand what your friends are going through and things that they're dealing with that could keep them from showing up to one of those things, makes it, easier when those situations come up that somebody can't control. And we all kind of get that. We don't really give each other crap about not showing up to things except for playing video games.
Yeah, we do that. Boomer bedtime ruins a lot of nights.
I'm fucking tired, man. I don't know what you want me to do. I'm not worth the shit after 10 o'clock. So if you guys can get on earlier, but like I said, you got to put the kids down. So that's something that I understand. And so I get that. So when I got to get off at 10:30, you guys just need to understand that, okay?
Oh, dude, I think it works out really well because
then you guys actually start winning once I do log off.
So you're undefeated before Patrick got on yesterday.
True.
Did we lose? I don't remember.
The tough thing with you, Patrick, sometimes is I feel like that you and I and John have stayed up real late, and then we don't even remember how well we did.
Yeah. Yeah.
But so the once a month, and then there was some other things I was thinking about. We talk almost daily. Do you think a group text message with your friends is a good idea or a bad idea?
That's what I thought this was going to come up, because I don't have many. I mean,
our group text is the only one that I really pay attention to.
Me too.
I'm in others, but this is going to sound bad. I'm in one with Jen and her family, and I will pay attention, but a lot of the times it's them talking about something that doesn't really directly involve me. So like whatever. And then,
I'm not gonna. It's just like a work meeting. If I don't have anything of value to say, I'm not just gonna talk
exactly
for the sake of talking. I'd love our group message, and a lot of times John won't participate. I won't participate. Like it's once we have something to say, then we'll jump in. But it is nice to have that connection and communication,
because I feel like we talk almost, if not daily, it's at least a few times a week.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
And I think that's an important thing for people to have and now I think that there's some risky stuff that gets said sometimes in those texts that you don't want other people to find out about, but I think it's important to have those open lines of communication.
Just make sure you delete the text messages.
I have mine on autosave. I'm just I started blackmailing you guys for the
going down.
One of the things that I wanted to also bring up is, and I've been trying to get better at this, is checking in on like how people are doing in our friend group. Like if you're going through something difficult, asking you how you're doing, that kind of thing. That was not something I was good at. What prompts you guys to do that, like to check in and say, like, you know, how's this going, that kind of thing. Like, do you? Because I'm not trying to like make you sound like a saint, Patrick, because you're not. But Patrick is when you were going through some stuff, Patrick was like, should we check in on him? And I was like, nah, we'll give it like a day or two. Like, let's not jump in right this second. And I just wanted to know what kind of prompts your mind to think that way, because a lot of times I'm thinking like more than likely this person doesn't want to talk about it if they're not talking about it.
I don't want to, like when you
don't have to do specifics.
No, I know. I'm not going to. I don't ever expect anyone to feel bad for me, I guess. So I don't, like, I'm glad that you guys do reach out. Like, a lot of people did reach out after everything went down, which was nice, but I don't really expect it, I guess, just because nobody owes me anything. You know what I mean? It's good to have friends like you guys and checking in on me. And I really do appreciate it, but it's just, you know, sometimes I feel selfish because I feel like I almost don't reciprocate it.
I know I don't do it enough, and I'm trying to do it better.
Yeah, if somebody's going through, but sometimes I don't even know, because we, you know, like, we talk every week, but, you know, being guys, and this is, I told my therapist, is like, sometimes I consider myself like a toxic male. It's just like, I can do this by myself. I'm fine. I don't need to be like, oh, you know, be all whiny and shit and say, hey, you know, can you guys call on me? It's just, but he said, like you said, it's not like swallow that shit.
I'll hold you.
I appreciate that. I got something you can hold. Anyway, it's just, yeah, like, if you guys don't bring it up, then I don't know, but I think it is a good idea to just, you know, hey man, how things going? Yeah. Just kind of throw that, you know, throw the limb out there.
I'm a hopeless optimist. And then I think what drives a lot of my outreach sometimes is like when I have trouble seeing like if I try to put myself in someone else's shoes and then like think about like the optimistic side of the situation. And if I struggle finding it, I'm like, I need to call, you know, like, and that's, I don't know, that's the easiest outreach thing. That's when I was talking with you about reaching out to Jason. I was like, he's going through some shit. And if I was in his shoes, I wouldn't know which way is up, you know? So I was like, we need to talk to Jason.
Yeah, it was a lot. And I do appreciate it. And like I said, I need to be better. Like I said, even if I don't know if anything's going on, just say, hey man, how's life going? Or you know, how things going with you? Because it's usually, you guys getting on tonight? You guys getting on tonight? You know,
you're gonna play some rivals later. And John, you're somebody that I feel like I don't talk to a lot about like deeper stuff. So do you feel like that is because you don't want to talk about it, or do you think that we need to be better about that?
I'd say that's kind of my personality and upbringing. I'm kind of a guarded person. Right. I was raised to be seen and not heard.
Right.
And so I've just always kind of lived with that. And I don't try to get into things too deep when we're all like playing games together, right. Because I know that we're all looking forward to it as an escape.
Yep.
But before, like, if it's just me and Jason online, sometimes we'll get into some deeper talks. Or if it's just me and you, or me and Patrick, we'll talk about some deeper things. But if we're all together, I don't want to make anything, you know, focus on me instead of us focusing on, you know, working together and having a good time.
Yep.
So, yeah, I try to keep it light most of the time. But I tell you guys some things when it's just one-on-one. Mm-hmm. But that's just kind of like the way that I was brought up, and it's a hard habit to break to be more open about things. And I've told you guys a couple of things recently, like joining the Freemasons and starting back up in school. Some of those things, I don't share that with everybody, and a lot of people in my family don't even know I've done some of those things. And my wife's family, a couple of them know about it, but I don't like to talk about myself very much. So I'd rather, if we're going to have a deep conversation, talk about what you guys want to talk about.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point, like video games, especially everything that's gone on last year. But I think I'm going to get this on tape now. We need to meet in person. Right. Like I said, when it's one-on-one video games, we can talk about some deeper shit, but I already am terrible at video games. So when I start talking about things that aren't related to the video game, I find myself doing even worse. So I think it's important. I know we got some hurdles to get over, but I think just to meet up just whether we have a guys' night, you know what I mean? Like do that once a month, once every couple months. I know everyone has their shit to go through, but if we can make some time just to meet up for a couple hours at least, we don't have to spend the entire night together.
Yeah, you just got to make time for
it. Because I think that would be easier to be in person, because like John said, just when we're playing video games, do we really want to talk about the shit that we're going through?
And it's hard to, like, I'll admit, back to what Jason said about not being good at the game, if we start talking about something kind of in depth, I can't pay attention to especially the game we're playing right now that's so fast paced. It's like I feel like I can't even,
especially because I'm like, hey, get on point, get on point. What are you talking about?
And
so my heels.
I need heels. Like, I'm talking to John about something. Give me a second.
So I think that's important. I think that's a good message to send to anybody that's listening, that, you know, you might have those surface level conversations, the surface level like enjoyment and hanging out with each other, but definitely the in-person thing I think is important.
We're all fucking busy, but you just have to find that time. Like I could sit here, well, I can't because we're doing, you know, but like I said, just a couple hours once a month, once every 2 months at the most. It's like, it's hard, but we just need, like,
you got to make time to do it.
It's for healthy, you know,
and you got to plan it.
Right.
Yeah. And that's what, something that I'm actually even trying to improve upon myself is reaching out to people and saying, hey, let's go get lunch, or like, let's go get something, get a drink or get a coffee, or like, I'm not a coffee drinker, but I'll go get a coffee with somebody just to like create that. And that's just professionally, that was like something that I would kind of plan, but then I would either flake out or I would like be excited when somebody called me and said, oh, I can't make it. I'd be like, good. So I don't have to like change my day. I can just go about my day and like skip this part and I get, you know, an hour back or whatever. So I think it's important. I think you just got to make time to do that. And again, you can let a lot of things get in the way of that, but you can also just, you know, bite the bullet and make the time to do it. So right. I think that's important.
Yeah, Sarah's job actually has the pretty cool thing going on. Every month, they make their employees go out with somebody they either haven't talked to or they don't work with and have them have lunch together.
Yeah.
So I think it's a good way to make connections. And then you know, I didn't know you guys before you started working in BioLab. So I think your coworkers are, like, I've known you, you know, I've been friends with you guys for so long now, and I'm thinking about like high school friends, childhood friends, and I don't talk to a lot of them, just the people that I work with.
That brought up a thought that I always make fun of Jen, because her and her friend group, they all met each other at Johnny Carino's when they were working together in college, and they're still friends.
That's awesome.
That's us now. And I was like, I always make fun of them, and I never really think about our group being kind of the similar situation. So now I can't really make fun of them anymore, because I have kind of come to the realization that we became friends through a job. So, really just before I wanted to kind of get us to close to like an end point. So just kind of final thoughts of what you think what's important about having, and again, this podcast, I do want it to resonate with people that aren't just males, but it's kind of, the idea is that it's kind of more designed for the niche of males, because another thing I was thinking about when starting this was there's a lot of sad, anxious, lonely, like not happy dudes out there. And I wanted to give ideas of things that I do, hoping that it might work for somebody else. That's why it's called the It Works For Me podcast, because I want it to hopefully potentially work for somebody else. Just kind of give some final thoughts on why maybe a male friend group, communication, getting together, just kind of give a final thought, and we'll kind of wrap it up after that. And John, go ahead first.
Yeah. So, I mean, we talked about this at the beginning, but we, give each other crap, but we also take time to build each other up at the same time. So, with four of us that typically play games together, hang out together, two of us can be dogging on the other person, and then the third person steps in and is like, hey, you know what, you did good in this other part though. And sometimes it's even a little bit sarcastic, but it makes light of the maybe negative sentiment that is coming your way, and then you're like, you know what, they're kind of right in a way, but I'm also improving, and they're seeing that too, and having all of that together is what helps us stay as a close group, I think.
Yeah. Just reach out to, because I think society kind of tells men that you just bury it deep down. I think it's been like that for a while.
White knuckle it.
Yeah, I think that's fine for some time. Like I said, I don't ever want to feel whiny, anything like that. So if you need help, like, don't be afraid to reach out. Like, it's hard. I know it sucks, but, and then on the other end of it, like I said, just reach out to your friends, and whether it's not once a week, make a goals like once a month, just to reach out to somebody you haven't talked to that month, and, just kind of see how their life is going too. Like that little itty bitty thing of you just sending out a text message, hey, what's going on? How things going, can make a huge difference, just to let one of your friends know that you are thinking about them and that you care. So.
Anything? Oh, God, do I have to give some sage advice then?
You don't have to.
I'll tell you. So I know that. So my wife has trouble making friends outside of just any social interactions, and she brought up not that long ago we were discussing maybe a possible move across the country, and she was like, you have an innate ability to like just meet new people, and you have this hobby in jiu-jitsu that like you can just join a community, and then you have this open door of other husbands and wives and people we can hang out with and stuff. And she's like, I don't really have that. I work remote. I talk to the same group of 4 or 5 people every day, and I don't think of it that way. I always think of it as like the people that you encounter just daily. It's the same interactions I always have, but it's I guess it's telling to hear someone else's like input about like the struggles of making connections, and it's probably a negative thing that I'm a hopeless optimistic, because that does impede my outreach. I often think that you guys are like doing fine, so I don't think I need to like reach out or text you or whatever. Or if I do text you, it's a silly meme or whatever, and then we chat about it or whatever. But I think that speaks to the importance of just interactions daily. That community, quote unquote community, from a gym structure is just because I'm near, like it's a close-in thing.
Proximal
it's
location.
Yeah, it's proximity, right? So I think that if anyone
like get a fucking hobby.
And, well, and it doesn't have to be the gym, or like it can be anything. But to your point, you get a hobby, because that's going to force you into some sort of cadence to interact, and then that interaction is what builds community.
It's hard. Like this shit. Work, getting a good body is hard. Being on a diet hard, not drinking, like all this shit is hard. It's very easy, trust me. I know, like if you want to make a true difference in your life, like you're gonna have to do some shit that sucks. Like that's just the way that it is. But my last thought is, like Patrick was saying, you don't ever feel the need to reach out and check on us and stuff. But I hope that you guys know that if you are going through some true shit, don't hesitate to be like, hey man, we need to, go grab a beer or, grab a coffee or something like that. Cause I think that we should be at that level and, be comfortable enough with one another that if we are going through like, hey man, I just need to talk to somebody. Because there aren't a lot of people I can reach out to, because I just either don't want to bother them, or I'm just not comfortable going through, things that are happening. So don't ever be afraid to, like I said, just reach out.
I think reaching out's important. All those things are great. I appreciate what Patrick was saying, because ultimately on one of the coming up episodes is the importance of having a hobby. And so
very important.
That's going to be an important conversation that I'm going to probably have with somebody. I don't know who that is yet, but that's going to be something that is on the list. Have a hobby that you are passionate about and that you put a lot of effort into. That is a key to me being positive and having a positive mindset and going about my day in a more happy light.
In addition to that, and what Patrick was saying about his wife having a hard time making friends, and finding a hobby, but you can find a hobby and there can be a community that you kind of interact with, but you're like, what do they call it, lurking?
Mm-hmm.
In order to like actually feel the impact of it, you have to insert yourself into the community and make it known. That was part of my own self-development and joining the Freemasons. I have you guys as friends, and
that's an uncomfortable thing to put yourself into.
Yeah, it's a different group. A lot of the guys are much older than me, and they're grandparents, or they've already achieved a bunch in their career and stuff like that. I feel like I'm still pretty early on in my career, specifically where I'm at right now, but getting myself into those types of situations expands not only the community that I'm a part of, but expands my thinking and helps me see other points of view that I haven't necessarily thought of. And if I didn't take that step to go and join the Freemasons, I'd still just only be talking to you guys, probably on video games most of the time, and not expanding myself. So
Yeah.
you gotta take that leap.
Take a fucking leap. That's exactly what I was just gonna say. Yeah, you gotta take that. Just take a leap. Yeah, it's scary, but usually when you land, it's pretty cool what happens. So.
Yeah, so that's been a fantastic podcast. Again, thank you guys for doing it. I know it was kind of last minute, but I appreciate you guys taking the time to chat with me. I think we've had some really good, impactful conversations that I'm hoping people might take something from it and it might resonate with them, help them with whatever situation they might be going through, and hopefully have them reach out to their friends, have them pick something up, put themselves in an uncomfortable position they haven't been in, make fun of their friends, but in a way that lifts them up and
not every time
has a positive intent behind it, and that's what works for us, and hopefully it works for you.
Thanks, guys.
See you.
Thanks.
Peace.
What's your mom doing?